public hearing is now called order at 6 PM on Wednesday, August 25th of 2021. This hearing is being held as required by the provisions of Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth, an act relative to the protection of the wetlands as most recently amended. Notice of the time and place of this hearing was published in the Advocate on August 19th of 2021. It was also posted in the town clerk's office. This is being broadcast live, and of course it'll be taped and broadcast for, put out there for future broadcast as well. Everybody sitting here today is a member of the commission: Ryan Rosendes, Ray Pelletier, Barbara Rocha Chair, Edward Phillip, Rick Pimentel, and then our agent, Pat Hannon, and senior clerk, Joy Manolo. Persons wishing to be heard will be called in the following order. So minutes for approval from July 14. And we put those off from the last time because we didn't have a quorum of people at that meeting. Do we have quorum from that meeting at this meeting?
You do.
We do. I know we've looked at those and commented on those, so I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? That's unanimous. We also have August 11, so it was the previous meeting. And for those of you that were here, I think we've all had a look and didn't make any changes, so I'll entertain a motion to approve those as well.
So moved.
And we have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Meeting mail, letter to 21 Evergreen Drive and to 23 Evergreen Drive, and our agent Pat Hannon has provided those. So you sent documentation to Helder and Susan Fernandez, who were here at the previous meeting. We voted on their property. There was never, there'd been a previous filing, but this was a potential violation, and we made a negative determination. And just as a recap, we did say with the following conditions: no further encroachment on the isolated land subject to flooding, the area of disturbance be vegetated with a conservation mix, provide an as-built plan of the stabilized area, the ILSF, and the related buffer zone, provide a copy of the as-built to the commission, and record it at the Bristol County Registry of Deeds. Contact the conservation agent upon completion of this work for inspection and final closeout, and I'm sure that their engineer, Michael Koska, will be working on that. And as a follow-up to the fact that there is a pipe sticking out of the neighbor's property, this is to the property owner, Mr. Gomes. Acushnet Conservation met on August 11, 2021 as a follow-up regarding a stormwater pipe on your property. The commission voted to have the stormwater pipe removed that drains onto 21 Evergreen Drive, and then, please contact the agent for an inspection after the pipe has been removed. And just a basic statement of fact, it's against the law in this state to add drainage to your neighbor's property. So whether it's minimal or not, you still aren't supposed to do that. So that's the reason we've asked for that pipe to be removed. I don't know if you want to say anything more about that, guy.
I have heard from Mike Koska
Mm-hmm.
that work's underway.
Okay.
I have not heard from the abutter.
Okay. So on to new business. We have a public hearing. We have an RDA, Listina Rux, 69 Nestles Lane. A request for determination was filed by Listina Rux for property located at 69 Nestles Lane, map 1, lot 14C-2. The applicant proposes to install a 4-foot chain link fence and a raised bed garden within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. Plan name is as-built. Order of conditions SE001-0367, 69 Nestles Lane, Acushnet, Mass. And that's dated November 17 of 2005. So I will turn it over to the agent if you want to say anything about the project.
Having been out there several times now and out there Saturday with you folks, the chain link fence is an expense that she's going to protect the wetlands from the butter. And as you all know, she's an avid gardener. And she'd like to put a raised bed garden in a sunny spot in her yard. It doesn't seem to be any impact whatsoever to the buffer zone. I'd recommend that you approve it.
Ms. Rose, would you like to say anything about your project? Or?
No, not at this point. You've said pretty much. The only thing I would be doing with the raised bed is in the wintertime probably covering it similar to the other raised beds that you saw there. I would probably have a cover, then I can grow well into November,
Okay.
sometimes December, depending on like potatoes and garlic that overwinter.
Okay. And I recognize you three, but are you, ma'am, here for this?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure we acknowledge, just in case. So, in that case, I will,
I don't know if anyone's on Zoom, but you have to ask for any comments.
that is true. We could have done
Doesn't
that
look like
during
there
this
is, but-
discussion portion of things.
Yeah.
Is there anybody on Zoom who would like to comment or ask questions about this project at 69 Nestles Lane, or anybody here in the commission? I will entertain a motion for a negative determination for 69 Nestles Lane.
I make a motion.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay, do we have any further discussion? Any special conditions? It seems good as is. So with that being said, I'll entertain how do we vote? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstained? Great, that's unanimous. Motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
In favor? All right. Okay, next public hearing, NOI, so you're welcome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing, NOI, Paul Boucher, Morton Lane and right-of-way. We don't have a file number yet, but we will hear the presentation. We can go on this at a later date. So notice of intent. Notice of intent was filed by Paul Boucher for property located at Morton Lane and right-of-way, map 14, lots 15H and 17. The applicant proposes the improvement / construction of a paved roadway within an existing right-of-way, installation of associated drainage system, installation of proposed water main, and construction of a residential dwelling with associated utilities, grading, and driveway within the 100-foot buffer zone through bordering vegetative. The applicant is represented by Jamie Bissonette of Zenith Consulting Engineers, LLC. Plan name is map 14, lots 15H and 17, Morton Lane, existing conditions plan. That's dated May 25 of this year, revised August 9 of 2021.
Follow along.
The only hard copy I have is here. Does the board mind if I kind of angle this so the audience can see as well?
That's fine,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, Jamie.
I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
maybe even step towards this red flag a little bit with that.
Sure.
and
That's a great idea.
pick by everybody.
Am I in the way of the Zoom thing?
Can I just get a motion to open this public hearing?
Sure. So we have that motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
How is that? Is that okay? Okay. Can I speak here or do I need to be on the microphone?
I
Microphone?
try that just in case.
Got it.
We can't do hand signals with Nick, so I'm just going to take a guess and say yes.
All right. Good
So,
evening.
floor is yours.
Good evening, Jamie Bissonette, Zenith Consulting Engineers, here on behalf of Mr. Boucher. What we have in front of you is the improvement of Morton Lane to gain suitable frontage for a single residential building lot with associated drainage and improvements. Per our site walk on Saturday, I think the commission was able to see the limits of the work, the wetland resource itself, and the site in general. We had the roadway improvements area staked out and the house corners and the drainage. Right now, Morton Lane has a paved section and then a gravel section. We're looking to improve part of the gravel section in accordance with the planning board's requirements. We're going to be catching that water and treating it through a stormwater wet basin, which will treat it beyond the required treatment and then discharge it to the resource areas. Right now, there's no drainage there at all. We're also going to be trying infiltration with the roof drains, which is nice clean water. It's the best way to infiltrate is nice clean water, and we're going to utilize that from the roof. The septic system itself is outside the buffer, but the house with the grading and the driveway and the stormwater is within the buffer, and also part of the roadway improvements themselves. So tonight we're here before you to present and show you. I do understand we don't have a DEP file number. Also understand we have not heard back from Natural Heritage. So I know we can't close the meeting out tonight, but wanted to do the presentation, get feedback from the board and from any abutters, and hopefully proceed in a good fashion.
Mr. Hannon, over to you first, is that right?
Could you explain to the commission what a wet basin is?
Sure. So, a wet basin is essentially a drainage basin, but the bottom of it is going to remain moist. It will typically have wetland vegetation in it. What that does is that gives you a much higher level of treatment than just a dry basin. So the vegetation, along with the moist bottom, which is adjacent to the wetlands, provides a superior level of treatment. So in this case, that's exactly what we're looking to do.
With that being said, that's, according to Board of Health, that still has to drain completely within 72 hours after the rain stops, correct?
So I went back to the office and pushed that with Joe a little bit. And it is not a regulation, like I said on Saturday, it's a policy.
Yep.
But that's the Board of Health's policy, not the commission's policy.
Yeah.
So he can weigh in on that whenever he feels, or you can talk to him about it.
Sure.
You are expecting it to infiltrate though, right?
The bottom of the basin, no.
No?
We're not really. We're not taking account for the bottom of the basin infiltrating.
Okay.
This is acting purely like a detention basin
Yep.
with water quality. So the floor bays will treat, and the vegetation in the wet basin itself will treat. The only infiltration that we're counting on here is going to be for the roof drains.
And just because I know DEP is going to make the comment, is there any other location for the basin to move it away from the wetland at all?
This is actually the best location for it because of the roadway. We're trying to catch the roadway features, so this is at the down gradient side. Unfortunately, anything in a different spot would either require pumping, it just wouldn't be feasible.
Okay,
So this is the best spot.
that's all I have.
So for those of us that were out there Saturday, any questions?
No.
Oh, Ryan, if you have questions.
Yeah, the scope of the work, how close, or how far in the buffer zone is the scope of the work? Like, what's the closest point?
The basin itself and some of the grading go right up within a few feet of the wetland line itself. Remember, the wet basin itself is going to turn, the bottom's to turn into a wetland.
Right.
But it's gonna treat that, that runoff at a much higher level. Will require, periodic maintenance with the floor bays being cleaned out. We expect that once that's constructed and stabilized, those really turn into nice areas, long-term stabilization. The stormwater regulation requires fencing and rows of rugosa be planted around to, minimize access into the drainage area.
Good question. Jamie, is there any provision to maintain for invasive species in the basin?
That's a great question. We don't have that as part of this. We do have an operation and maintenance schedule. Typically, that does require regular maintenance. Usually, if somebody does see invasives starting to come in, they would file a permit with the conservation and probably an RDA and say, hey, listen, we have whatever it is, and come in and you guys would confirm the method to eradicate that.
It might be helpful to have a short-term plan for while the basin establishes itself to be able to remove invasive species so that you're not winding up with a big maintenance problem
Okay.
next season.
I'm guessing, Nancy, you're one of the rare project proponents that would understand what those invasives are.
Absolutely.
Or who would understand what those invasives are.
My background in environmental engineering and environmental science would come into play.
So
In fact, that's part of the reason why we like the idea of a wet basin, because it provides water back into that wet meadow and keeps it alive. If you were to do an infiltration where the water was to seep into the property, the water that is currently already going to this area, which created it, will no longer exist. So you actually would kill the wetlands if you did anything different than a wet basin.
Yeah, you definitely want to have discharge. You don't want to cut all source of water off. So,
Are you in a butter, or would you like to ask
I'm
a
in a
question?
butter. I'm on-
And for the record, we need to have your name.
Mary Jo Francis.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm just that's gonna be abutting my property, on the 14, so it's kind of just where that square is. So I'm worried about the water and, is it gonna come to my property?
this property over here?
The next one over, I believe. 14,
So you access your house from
Down here.
Renee Street?
from Renee Street.
Renee.
So you're over.
So, yes, yeah, right.
Yeah, no, where's, so the microphone.
Okay.
We're not sending any water down towards you. The water for us is gonna go into that basin and it's gonna continue into the wetland. The planning board, part of the town's requirements under the stormwater bylaws, we have to reduce both rate and volume in the storms. So we're gonna be actually sending a lower rate, which is the speed with the volume at which it goes, and the overall volume is decreased a little bit. So there'll actually be less water getting there as well.
Okay. But that is all considered wetlands behind me, correct?
We didn't evaluate behind your
Oh,
house. What we
okay.
did was on our lot, because I've been asked this by a couple of butters, we didn't really go onto the abutting properties and delineate.
No, because I seen somebody behind my property and they put stakes out.
Yeah, that was probably the surveyors just trying to locate
Oh, okay.
bounds. The wetland scientist that we had go out, his scope was purely tell us on our property where the wetlands are
Okay.
and the buffer zones. So
Okay.
I don't know on the backside of your property and on ours, if there's some uplands where it ends, where it stops.
Okay.
Ms. Francis, any other questions then?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's good. I mean, I don't know, can somebody build on that once you put that, once you do what you gotta do, is that, make that not a buildable lot behind me? I'm just wondering what's going on with the future.
You're talking about that big parcel?
Yeah.
That's actually part of the house lot for them. So what we did was we merged the two lots together.
Oh, okay.
So both parcels now are actually gonna be considered one.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Nancy Durfee, and this is Paul Boucher. We just purchased the property behind your house.
Okay.
We're building a single-family ranch,
Uh-huh.
small, we're downsizing, and we look forward to being your neighbor. And if you have any concerns, certainly contact Jamie, and we'd be happy to answer them. The back parcel, the large lot behind where we're gonna put the house, is gonna remain natural.
Okay.
We don't have any intentions of subdividing the property and turning it into multifamilies or anything like that. We just
Okay.
looking for the peace and quiet of the country.
Okay, because that's what I heard, was a lot of land back there and they're gonna be building a lot of houses.
No.
Yeah.
So I figured they're just trying to get one in and then, okay, we've got this zone, now we can, expand, and I'm just wondering about that,
We like the woods,
Okay,
yeah.
that's good to know.
Anybody else
Quiet.
have questions for Mr. Bissonette or Mr. Durfee, Mr. Boucher?
Yeah, just that basin, is that the homeowner's responsibility to maintain that, yeah?
It is. This is a unique situation, but it's going to be on private property. The road right now doesn't have a drainage system at all. The town's bylaw requires a drainage system be put in place. So yeah, they're going to be the ones responsible for the basin. It's a private way. Someday in the distant future, if the town ever wants to improve the road up to town standards and take it as public, which I'm not sure the process or why anybody would want to, but if they did, they could talk to the Mr. Boucher about that at that time.
Right.
But right now, it's fully intended to be private.
And what's the scheduling on the average cleaning of that basin and maintaining it?
In the notice of intent, we actually have a very detailed operation and maintenance for it with a checklist. And it's to be done at each component is to be done at different times. Let me grab it. Here we are. All right, so we have 3 4-bays, the wet basin, the outlet pipe, the overflow spillway. So each one of them is to be cleaned out. And basically what it says is that all debris and litter are to be removed from gutters, catch basins, sediment floor bays, inlets, infiltration basins, surrounding areas at least twice per year. Embankments that have excessive erosion or slumping are to be regraded and seeded during the spring or fall of each growing season as needed. Inspect infiltration basin shall be inspected for signs of proper functioning on a monthly basis. Any blockage in the downspout shall be removed if discovered. Gutters will be cleaned at least twice a year. We recommend the gutter guards, the screens that go in the outlet pipes. I'm guessing they might even go beyond that. They're probably not going to want to have to clean the gutters, so
Right.
probably put the guards over the whole thing. Mowing, we have over the basin, the infiltration basin. Let's see, yeah, if it's needed, it could cause a negative impact on the function of the basin, it needs to be removed. Sediment floor bay will be inspected a minimum of 4 times per year. Structure shall be cleaned 4 times per year, or whenever depths of deposits are greater than or equal to 1/2 from the bottom of the floor bay to the berm elevation. Takes a lot longer than that to happen, but that's a pretty safe thing to do. And then non-routine maintenance says basins, floor bays, pipes, infiltration basins, side slopes, overflow spillways shall be inspected every 4 years for proper function, clogging, sign of deterioration, structural inadequacies. And then it says stormwater management system shall be inspected after 2 full years of operation by a registered engineer like myself to make sure that it's working properly.
And the other inspections you mentioned prior to that, who's doing those?
Well, Nancy could actually do those herself with her background. And Paul's actually qualified, he's a building inspector, so
Okay.
the two of them have quite a bit of knowledge in this area.
Mhm.
So, in most cases, they would call either a contractor or an engineer
Right.
who has experience with this.
Jamie, how many square feet is that basin? Approximately, just,
I should be able to tell you here. You know what, this is giving me volumes. This is a 40 scale. It appears on the long side to be close to 100, 120 feet.
okay.
And in this area, it's probably close to 60 feet at the widest point.
All right, thank you.
Did the results of those inspections go to a specific person?
No, I mean, they typically don't. And again, it's more of a checklist. So in a case like this, we actually have two things. We're going to have an NPDES with a SWIP that's filed because we're over an acre disturbance. So during construction, that's going to be the prevailing document with inspections that they're already aware of. After the construction and stabilization is done, the stormwater checklist takes precedent, but I'm not aware of anybody that really turns in the results. They pretty much do it, keep it on hand if there's an issue, and you guys call them in for an issue. If they have the document to back it up, it certainly helps.
Under the stormwater regulation, there is a financial assurance for 20 years of maintenance for that. And there may be a requirement to do inspections after a 1-inch rainfall or something like that.
Yep.
There is no requirement to turn them in,
Yep.
but in the event of something going wrong, it's kind of like low-hanging fruit to go ask for those
Yeah.
and start from there. So,
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and overall, this is an improvement to a road with no drainage now.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this is definitely in the right direction.
It was just really helpful having it laid out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks for putting all those stakes in the ground. Other questions, comments, concerns?
I just have one more
Yes,
question.
please.
It being a basin, I'm just thinking like a hole in the ground, I'm not technically, say with that, I'm just wondering about mosquitoes and stuff, is that something that gets treated for mosquitoes or it doesn't need it, or?
No, that's actually a very common question that we get with basins. I mean, this is literally adjacent to the wetland itself where the mosquitoes typically populate from. So I would guess that there's gonna be no increase, most likely. I mean, it's the wetland, that's a big, large system is right there. The intention is not for it to be a mosquito breeding ground, but we don't propose at this time any chemicals to be added to it. I'm not sure the conservation would want that.
And neither would Heritage.
Yeah, and natural heritage. The endangered species people probably wouldn't either.
But
Okay.
it shouldn't add more to it.
I mean, I think it'd be an unmeasurable
Okay.
thing, but again, if there's the chance that there could be some, but again, it's a large wetland system right there. There's a ton of mosquitoes already. I got eaten alive on Saturday, so.
Mr. Bissonnette, thank you. I know
Thank you.
we can't vote on this, so we'll get a motion to continue, and we want to wait a month, is that right?
No, I would just continue for more information,
Okay,
and if the number comes in,
right.
you make it
Okay.
ready for your next meeting.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
Entertain a motion to continue until the meeting, which is September 8th, I believe. Yeah. That motion?
So moved.
And we have a second? All in favor? All right. And if you don't have a number, well, we'll have to push it, but I'm guessing you'll have your number.
I think so. If not, though, I'll get in touch.
Plus Heritage.
Plus Heritage, yeah, I expect Heritage.
That's
And
the
I
wild
expect
card.
both, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion to close this public hearing?
So moved.
Nope, you continue.
So I don't, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's that.
Yep. Yeah, well, we already have. Other discussion on other topics? Anything else happening that you know?
Yellow house there.
Covered a lot of ground the last meeting. Oh,
Oh, yes, I got my new computer.
good. How about you, Joanne? Did you get one?
Not yet, it's on its way though, he's working on
Mhm.
We were also,
You know what I
I
mean?
just fixed in the office.
Okay.
it. Matter
So that's all.
really, but.
Right, yeah, no,
Come in from Morton.
So and the computer's got Ethernet cable now and connected to the town system?
Everything's working, all the drives are working.
Mhm.
We kept the old computer in the office just because there may be some data we want to see
Sure.
later on down the road.
Right.
We've got a site coming up that they're asking me to go out and check the wetlands line
Mm.
before they do their complete submittal, which made me think they doubt their line.
Mm.
And I found a 2009 letter on Merrill Lee's computer telling them that basically almost the whole site's a wetland.
Mhm.
But they had animals, so under agriculture, they could graze there and do all those things.
Yeah.
And the delineation was done solely on vegetation, not on soils.
Right.
So I'm gonna meet him up there next week and
Mhm.
we'll slug that out.
Okay. Hmm.
And we've got a couple of new NOIs coming in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
I got a question on that Blueberry Drive. Is that what it is, Blueberry Drive? The one.
Evergreen?
Evergreen Drive. So the neighbor, they have to physically remove that pipe?
He could disconnect it
Right.
and rearrange
Maybe
his.
cap it and fill it with flow fill, so they don't create a void underneath their driveway. And I think it goes underneath their driveway, right?
I
Like
think it comes
paved.
out the back corner, I don't know. It's kind of at the back of the house. And according to the Fernandez, the neighbor claims it's just a roof drain.
Right,
But it's a pretty big pipe for just a roof drain, it's a 6-inch pipe.
right. I just
So-
didn't know if that would create a void in their driveway, you know what I mean? By
We're not asking them to remove it, we're asking them to just
cap
disconnect it
it.
from the system
Yeah,
and
all right.
come
Fair
up with a
enough.
better plan of keeping their stormwater on their property.
All right. That was my other question on that.
Yeah.
Next item is agent updates, I guess. You've given us your
We just got it.
Yeah, but yeah, the computers, that's a great thing. That'll make your life, it'll make things much more efficient.
The Outlook is working correctly too? The Outlook line, the email line?
I haven't gotten.
Oh, you haven't?
it yet, no.
This week.
It's on its way. Oh.
And the archiving is going well.
Mhm.
We're getting the old stuff out of there.
Right.
There was a ton of Board of Health records in there from when the Board of Health office was there.
Hmm.
But I actually found a plan that benefits us at another site from 2008.
Mhm.
So it was good.
Excellent. Does anybody else have business for the commission?
No?
This is next year, future business. Next meeting of the Conservation Commission will be on Wednesday, September 8th. I think you're gonna have to run that meeting, I won't be able to be here.
Yeah, I will.
Because I have a work event
I hope you're here.
that night. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, and do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Meeting adjourned at 6:30.